Everybody. I hear that beautiful sound of the Breslin bells, and that means it is 5 o'clock. And so I would love to get started. We have a lot of people that we're expecting tonight, which is just so much fun. I've been looking forward to this all afternoon, and so I'm just so glad you all are here. My name is Susan Askew, and I am class of 86 of the college. And Associate Vice President for Alumni and Parent Programs. And I have to say, I've just missed you all so much at our Sewanee Club events across the country that we would typically be having, especially with a new Vice Chancellor. We would be bringing him around and getting to be with you all, and also on campus. And so this weekend would have been one of those weeks where many of you would have been here in Sewanee to enjoy one of the services of Lessons and Carols. So I just welcome you all to this Sewanee Club event featuring Lessons and Carols. This year looks very different, as we all know, and it just did not stop us from having 61st Lessons and Carols. And it will debut to the public tomorrow, but we thought it would be fun to find a way to be together like this. And does everybody mind to just stay muted or mute themselves? We can do it, but missing some people. So anyway, we were excited to think about a way to be together, even though we could not invite you to campus. We're happy that we're able to have a Lessons and Carols service, and we will hear a little bit more about how it came to be in just a minute. But it's so fun to think about that we could a Sewanee Club event like this so that we could be together and feel like we're together, to have a great way for being together and watching Lessons and Carols together. And I'm just so grateful that you guys are here, and we're in for such a really big treat, but it's just going to be a really great way to the Christmas season. And so I'm so glad to see everybody here tonight. So we decided to have it as a watch party instead of a webinar because we wanted to be together. So, and we have, y'all, I'm about to tell you, we've got 1,000 people expected tonight. And so, even though it's a little bit chaotic because we might be able to hear some other people, we did this on purpose so that we could be together and see each other and just be able to enjoy the service together. So we are joined by people that were so instrumental in making this service possible. And I think that's just such a treat that they were willing to be a part of this special VIP early access service. And really, you guys, it's going to open to the public tomorrow, but tonight we are going to share it with you all. And cannot wait for you to see it. So let me just tell you who we are joined tonight by. We have the University Chaplain, Peter Gray. We have the University Choir Master and Organist, Jeffrey Ward. And then we have Stephen, who is an alum of the college, class of 01. And he kind of made the magic happen behind the camera. And he has his own business that does that. And we were fortunate that he helped us with this one. And what we're going to do is hear from them, and then we are going to share the video with you all, and then we'll come back for some questions. But I can't wait to get started. So I have, we're going to hear from our chaplain first, Peter Gray. And Peter, do you mind, thank you for being with us, and can you tell us when you all started thinking about, oh no, the students will already be gone, how will we be able to have lessons and carols? Did we skip it this year? And then all the, maybe the background on how you all came up with this version and the ideas that were tossed around.
Certainly. Susan, there's an analogy here as we're hearing the pinging of your computer and people coming in. It sounds a lot like All Saints Chapel on Sunday mornings right here, right now, where the beginning of worship is people having their temperatures checked from the back of the chapel. So it was clear to us by midsummer that we were not going to be able to do lessons and carols as usual. The upper limit of our capacity in All Saints Chapel was anywhere from 50 to 100 during the semester. The choir we knew was going to be singing in small sections, and so that would disrupt what lessons and carols usually looks like. And we knew that most students would be home by Thanksgiving. And so what we just decided to do was offer a version of lessons and carols. What we wanted to do was offer a version of lessons and carols that for our students and faculty and staff would cap off this unbelievable semester. We wanted to release it right as students were finishing up or almost finishing up exams. And we wanted to also offer folks off the mountain a peek at what this semester has been like. And at its most basic, right, the story of Christmas, right, is the story of God dwelling with us. And dwelling with us not in the world as we want it to be, but in the world as it is. And that seemed like a pretty important story for us to keep telling in 2020. And so the idea was not to pretend to do lessons and carols like usual, right? To do a lessons and carol service and then film it and then put it out as if all was normal. But instead, what we wanted to do was create a video that, though different, is itself the worship experience, right? So it is lessons and carols. And so as you watch the video, there's not going to be a congregation, right? It's going to be an empty chapel, except for the people who are on camera. Y'all are the congregation, right? The people who watch this video when it's released broadly tomorrow are the congregation. You'll see the choir, of course, broken up into small sections, and Jeffrey can talk more about that. But the other the thing that was important to me, in addition to showing folks this semester, was to highlight some of the people who have pulled this semester off. There are a lot of heroes at Sewanee this semester. And it's impossible to highlight all of them, but we tried to sort of give a view of some of the folks who have pulled this thing off. And so faculty, of course, and students, and not only the students who are sacristans and choristers, but we, for example, chose to highlight proctors who in the residence halls were kind of the first line of defense is not the right word, but the first folks working on COVID regulations in the residence halls. We highlighted dining services, right? Because perhaps, as much as any department, dining services had a major disruption on its hands. So tried to figure out how to feed 1,500 folks 3 or 4 times a day for the duration of a semester while socially distanced. And I think what comes through, what comes through is just the beauty of the humanity that made this semester successful.
Great, thank you for all of that. That's just a wonderful, wonderful overview. We have Jeffrey Ward, who is the university choir master and organist. And we call this lessons and carols, but he's really about the carols part. And so I wanted to see if he would kind of share with you all how they selected which carols, how he worked with the choir members this year, how was that, how different did it really here. Jeffrey, do you mind?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special event. I would like to start by saying that we had such a great team pulling all this together, both within the chapel with Peter, Melissa, Casey, and Ruth. And I also want to give a special thank you to Zach Zwallen, who is my assistant, and who was, the amount of work he put into this was just amazing. One of the great opportunities we had this fall was to break up our choir of 60 and focus on smaller ensembles. So we had ensembles ranging, you'll see ensembles this evening between 8 singers, and then a piece featuring our senior class will have 11 singers. And that in and of itself, the logistics of the rehearsal schedule was a challenge. But in the end, you're going to really hear the fruits of everyone's labor with this service that we're about to view. The carols, of course, follow the lessons that and are related to the lessons that you'll hear. A number of the carols we're doing this year are new carols or new arrangements since I've been here, and this is my 5th year at Sewanee. And so that also in and of itself was exciting. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity to have some new repertoire in the mix, as well as some of more traditional pieces that you would have heard over the past few years. So Susan, I think, although we don't have everyone packed into All Saints Chapel and we don't have a choir of 60 leading the hymns and everything else, I think what you're about to experience this evening is a very emotional presentation of lessons and carols, but it also honors the tradition and the work that and the leadership from both Peter and Stephen was just extraordinary. And so to be a part of this team was really a blessing.
Great, thank you. I know people are looking forward to hearing the beautiful music. Stephen, I'd like to ask you now, you just really brought this service to life through your work. And can you tell us a little bit about the filming? I think people will be interested to know, how long did it take? Were there any things that happened that you didn't expect that were just like beautiful accidents? And are there any, sort of behind the scenes stories that you can tell that happened as you were putting it all together?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. So as Susan said, I'm class of 2001. I'm a freelance filmmaker based up right outside of Chicago now, but I come back to the mountain as often as they have me to make usually quite small videos for, short videos for admissions and other purposes. And this opportunity came to me to film this service, which is a pretty big deal for me. It's like kind of a lot to carry. I understand this is the first time in over 60 years that Sewanee's had to cancel this service. And so I really wanted to make sure we were capturing this in a beautiful way in terms of the audio and the visuals. And so I put together a team of people that I knew could help me do that. And we filmed over 4 days. So we did 2 nights of recording the choir in All Saints first. And then we did 2 days for the readings and other B-roll. And when you're putting together a piece like this, you have all these ideas about, we were going to film scenes on campus, and I was imagining beautiful sunsets. And of course, the Sewanee fog had a different idea for us. And so we were sort of hemmed in by fog for the 2 days we were supposed to be filming outdoors. And this is kind of a normal thing that happens in production. You have to completely pivot and just come up with something different. But I really think that constraint really made the film extra special. We pivoted and filmed a lot of more things in All Saints, which is just such an amazing place to work. And so I don't know. I hope everybody enjoys this as much as I did making it. I think it's a very special piece. I will say that I wasn't able to hear the choir in any way until the night that we got there to record. And, you know, I'm an alum. I know how good the choir is. But until you're sitting there in front of, you know, 8 or 9 students that are carrying this tradition, and then they just start that first carol, it's just chills, you know, straight down your body. And that feeling was what I wanted to capture. And I hope we've approximated the feeling of being in All Saints for everybody. And if anyone has any more questions about technical stuff, I'll hang out after everyone watches, and I'm more than happy to ramble on a little bit more about behind the scenes stuff.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Yes. So what we're going to do now, and I know that once you watch the video, you'll first of all be totally in the Christmas spirit, but second of all, you will maybe have some more, because these 3 people are going to stick around to answer those for you. And so I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's exquisite. We tested this week, and because it is just so well put together, we could not duplicate the quality of the video through Zoom like this. For me to just share my screen and show the video just would not do it. And so what we're going to do is, can everybody access the chat feature, because we're going to put the link there to the service, and it is just for you guys tonight, and that link will go away after tonight. But what we're going to do is in just a minute, you're going to click on that link and go watch it, but I want you to leave Zoom open during the service. If you have a question or a comment, you can put it in the chat. And now the service is about 40 minutes long. It's going to feel like 5 minutes to you, but once you all go away to watch the service, we will all be right back here when it's over, and then we can just kind of wrap up with some discussion and comments about it. And I hope that makes sense for everybody. If you see, I have posted the link to the awesome video of the service, and I want you to enjoy it, and then we'll see you guys back here in about 40 minutes. Well, welcome back, everybody. I know some people are probably still wrapping up, but many people have already watched it, and I just hope you really, really enjoyed it, that you're now ready for the Christmas season. But as you're finishing up, let me just tell you, in case you're worried, but special link that you all got will be available for about another hour. So after we wrap up here, we can you can watch it again if you didn't finish watching it. Right now. But as you've seen some of it, now that you've gotten to see it, what questions do you guys have? And Peter and Jeffrey and Stephen are still here. So one way to ask your question is in the chat feature down at the bottom, or if you want to ask it in person, if you see that thing at the bottom that says participants, if you click on that and find your name and go to the bottom and you say raise your hand, and we'll be able to see that, call on you and bring you on screen to ask a question. But I'm reading through some of these comments. Here's a good question. How did the organizers decide which groups would be reading the lessons? Peter, do you mind to share?
Yeah, so there was no perfect way to do this. as you might imagine, in a normal year, you've got 9 readings spread across 3 services. And so there's an ability to do sort of broad representation across the university. And we had even fewer readings and fewer services this year. So that meant we had 7, and we organized it by kind of department or group, as you saw. And my bias as the new chaplain coming in is that I immediately wanted to engage the folks that I saw whose lives and work had been most significantly disrupted. And that's a limited perspective, of course, as the new guy. And my bias really shows forth in the fact that the Vice Chancellor's cabinet was in there, because I find that group of leaders that I get to sit among just completely inspiring. And to me, as the new guy, it would have been hard to tell the story of the semester without telling the story of those leaders. So an inexact science is the answer.
Yes, I thought it was a neat way to kind of select the people this year. Someone thinks they recognize the shots of the scripture. Is that from that red Bible that sits in All Saints?
That's amazing. Good eye, whoever that was. That is the Bible from the lectern. And my director of photography, Ish, had this really unusual lens. It's called a probe lens. So it's a macro lens that has a really long tube. You see it sometimes used in commercials, like if you're flying into a beer bottle or something weird like that. But in this case, we used it to fly over the pages of the Bible. So that was that Bible, and it was pretty cool to be able to use it that way.
I asked that question. That's a really, really cool shot.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but yeah, it worked. So thanks for that. Good eye.
I love that question. Great. Now, some people may know that the decorating of the chapel is really kind of usually spectacular, and a lot of community members and alumni come, and community members decorate the chapel. How did that work this year, Peter?
Sorry, I'm trying to respond to comments as well. So the chapel decorations, you have Ken Taylor and the St. Augustine's Guild to thank, and you also have Stephen to thank, because Stephen Garrett was clear that the video would look so beautiful if we just had a little bit of decoration around the columns, and also to cover up the brackets that hold the video screens for graduation. And so Stephen got on site and made his case. And so we called Ken, and just at a moment's notice, really, I mean, within 24 to 48 hours, we had those beautiful wraps around the columns. And then the rest of it was just the architecture of All Saints Chapel, which is its own decoration along with the candles.
Right. Thank you. Jeffrey, if you're still around, I've got some people asking questions about the choir. And can you talk about how the masks came into play, and did they rehearse in those? And I think you might have talked about the song choice, but someone's asking about that too.
So just regarding the masks, we were able to rehearse this year. We were able to increase our numbers for the recording towards the end of the semester, but we were basically approved for 8 or 9 singers to sing at a spacing of 12 feet and masked. And that's something that those were distances or regulations that we got from Johns Hopkins in August, late July, early August. So we, sure, it was challenging and tough. And I know, I mean, the choir, they were just awesome. All of them, just heroes to make this work. But really that was our best option. And so to sing and make music with the mask was what we did, and they really did a spectacular job. The other thing tied into that, our rehearsals were only 30 minutes. So we're normally rehearsing maybe 3 hours a week with the full ensemble. in sectionals and full choir formation. And so that made this very challenging as well. And when the idea came up of doing it, we really had to plan accordingly and make sure that we carved out enough time in our rehearsal to be learning this music as well. So that certainly tied into the music we selected, and there was probably a few pieces in there that choir alums would have recognized that we've done before, but there were also a number of new pieces.
Well, I've got you there. I had this question and I talked to Stephen about it, but the sound quality is good. Thinking that they might be mic'd. Can you talk about how the sound came through? And I think just All Saints doesn't need microphones, but maybe Stephen answers that.
Yeah, for sure. We actually used what are called shotgun mics. So those are the things you see film crews, sometimes holding boom poles up in the air. We did those on stands, and that was really because, for one, we wanted to capture the sound of the chapel, which has a 2-second ring back, so that reverb you hear is really beautiful. And for another, because of COVID, our crew, and also just for the safety of everyone, we didn't want to have to mic everyone individually. So we were using a total of 4 microphones that were sort of pointing at the different sections, and then that's mixed after the fact to get that sound. Yeah, the crew brought in some really high-end gear, and I think it really shows. So thanks for mentioning that.
Great. Someone's asking, when was the chapel built? Steve?
If I answer that question on this phone call, someone will correct me. Jeff?
I believe it was completed in time for the 100th anniversary of the university and for commencement. So that was around 59 or 60. The Cassavant organ, the original, was built, I believe, in 1961. And then the rebuild and the renovation of the chapel happened in 2004, 2003, 2004.
Great. I had somebody submit a question ahead of time, Jeffrey, about how many pipes are in the.
Yeah. So approximately 4,500 pipes over a number of divisions. So there's a couple of bigger divisions at the front of the chapel by the organ console, which is also movable. And then also the pipes at the back of the chapel, which are particularly useful for accompanying hymns and leading the congregation in song.
Well, thank you. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat, just a lot of wonderful comments. And could the service be live streamed in future years for those who can't come?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. That's very possible. We've invested in live streaming capabilities, as a lot of you all know, so that folks can worship with us remotely throughout the school year. We're not streaming right now during the break, and we've invested in some new cameras, and it still is not going to be the same as being present in person, but certainly think that's a possibility.
Okay, so I think the only question left is how can people watch it tomorrow? And like I said, this special link that you all got is going to be live for about another hour before they cut us off. Tomorrow, it will be launched at 7 p.m. Central Time, and it's on the chapel's, All Saints Chapel's Lessons and Carols website. And there's a program there too that goes along with it, and I hope everyone got that. I sent it out right before. But before, I'm going to get the link to that page for Lessons and Carols, and you will get an email tomorrow about it as we wrap up, put it here in the chat. But I'm just going to turn it over and to Peter to close us out, maybe with some closing remarks and a prayer. But I just hope everyone has the merriest Christmas. And I'm so glad to be together with you all tonight. Peter?
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for gathering us. Some folks have asked if the video released tomorrow is going to be the same. It will be. It's the exact same video. But I'm appreciative of Susan's gathering us together to watch it together in one form or another. Before I pray, I've got, if you found this moving, as I think a lot of you did, would you please spread the word so that folks know that it's out there, whether that be on social media or just calling a friend. That would be wonderful. Second of all, I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed working both with Jeff Ward and Stephen Garrett, as well as others on the call. It's been just a great pleasure, and watching the reactions of those of you I could see as you watched it was just the best thing ever. So with that, how about we say one more prayer and then I'll let you go. O God, who wonderfully created and yet more wonderfully restored the dignity of human nature, grant that we may share the divine life of him who humbled himself to share our humanity, your Son, Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Great. Thank you all again. I love being with you. I hope you have to see some other people too. But thanks and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you, Susan. It was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you all.
Merry Christmas.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye.
Thank you.
Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Richard.
Thank you. Thanks, Susan. It was wonderful.
Well, Cindy.